Welcome to Good Runs. My name is Mex. In this continual series, we're shining the spotlight on teams and drivers who had an unusually strong performance, regardless of the eventual finish. Today, we're taking a look at Rich Bickle in the 1998 NAPA Autocare 500. Deep into the 1998 season, with only 7 races remaining, the stories of the year had been Mark Martin, who was having his best statistical year.
His 28th career win. Mark Martin looking for checkers. They fly for him here at the...
Fresh off of his 6th victory of the season at Dover and looking to run down the championship leader, who is having one of the all-time greatest statistical seasons, Jeff Gordon.
Corner number 4 and looks at the checkered flag. He wins the Pepsi 400.
Gordon was in the midst of his best career stretch and one of the best career stretches of any driver in NASCAR history. The stretch of 13 races from Michigan back in June all the way to the most recent race at Dover saw Gordon winning 7 races and finishing top 3 in all but 1. And amidst these two powerhouses was, well, everyone else. There are 43 stories in the field, not just the main 2 characters. While some careers flourish, others flounder. On one end of the coin, you got Jeff, Mark, Dale Jarrett, and a host of others who were competitive this year. On the other, the underdogs, underachievers, the overlooked drivers that no one would ever give a second glance. And one of those drivers is the 38-year-old journeyman of Rich Bickle.
And Rich Bickle has this and 2 more races coming up in Harry Mellon's Ford.
Rich Bickle had been in and out of the Cup Series since the late 80s, driving for many backmarker teams, but made a relatively good name for himself in the Truck Series in 1997, finishing 2nd to Jack Sprague in the championship standings.
Give the win to Wisconsin's great. Rich Bickle has done it, and the crowd is on their feet.
And winning 3 races across his elite campaign that year. This was enough for Cale Yarborough to take notice, whose career as a driver was quite illustrious, but as a car owner was still looking to find consistency, as his team's statistical seasons only saw a handful of top 10s and top 5s. John Andretti had given Cale Yarborough his first owner's trophy at the 1997 Pepsi 400, but as John departed to drive for Petty Enterprises in 1998, Cale found himself in dire need of a driver for the 98 machine. At first, he tapped Greg Sachs, but after a disastrous first 6 races, a crash at Texas leaves Sachs with life-threatening injuries, from which he manages to recover, but this crash effectively ended his career. Tapped to replace him would be Rich Bickle.
A problem on the racetrack.
Rich Bickle is in the wall. Rich Bickle is in the wall.
The majority of Rich's season was unfortunately a struggle, notching only a single top 25 finish in his first 10 starts with the team and failing to qualify the car twice. But at Bristol, it seemed the team started to hit on something, because Bickle finished 18th, and then 2 weeks later finished 19th at Daytona, and then followed that up with another 19th 2 weeks later at Dover. Bickle now headed into Martinsville 41st in points, with no real hopes of realistically salvaging this season, but maybe out of a miracle, they'd be able to get a few breakout runs.
Martinsville wins, and Rich Bickle, Benny, is the first of several unusual faces we see in about the top 14.
And immediately, it seemed like they found it. Bickle qualified the car on row 2 in 4th place, but it was Ernie Irvan who led the field to the green flag.
Green, green, green.
The caution comes out early when the 35 of Darrell Waltrip gets spun out of 2 and is able to continue. ESPN misses the ensuing restart, and y'all say these were the good old days. While Rusty Wallace loses a few laps on pit road to a radiator issue. Irvin continues to lead until lap 15 when Ricky Rudd is able to get by the Skittles machine of Irvin, and after Gordon bodies Irvin for position, Rich Bickle is also able to get by the 36 machine. Rich Bickle on lap 21 is able to take 2nd place from John Andretti and sets his sights on Ricky Rudd. Rich Bickle soon after surrendered 2nd place back to John Andretti on lap 39, but then got a shout out from Benny Parsons.
Great run for Rich Bickle of Thornton Apple Valley Ford.
During the long green flag run, Sterling Marlin is able to get around the 98 of Bickle to overtake 3rd, and around lap 65, Bickle is shown battling with Dale Jarrett before a graphic shows Bickle's best finish of the year being 18th place. While battling in lap traffic, John Andretti is able to take the lead from Ricky Rudd. At lap 94, Bickle runs 5th behind Gordon, Marlin, Rudd, and Andretti. 2 laps later, Bickle is shown running 6th, having lost 5th place to Dale Jarrett. On lap 102, Bickle is shown in 7th place behind Ernie Irvan, just before John Andretti loses a right front tire from the lead and slams the concrete out of turn 4. During pit stops, Sterling Marlin wins the race off pit road with Jeff Gordon in tow. Rich Bickle lines up for the restart in 7th. Sterling Marlin gets a cracked restart on lap 114 and drives away from Jeff Gordon. Rudd reclaims 2nd and begins to reel in the 40 of Marlin. Rich Bickle is shown again a few laps later running in front of Jeff Burton. After the return from commercials, Kenny Irwin Jr. is shown having smacked the turn 4 wall, and surprisingly the caution is not thrown for this. Meanwhile, Marlin continues to lead. On lap 146, Bickle is shown still running top 10 in 9th place. Marlin leads until lap 175 when the 23 of Jimmy Spencer spins in turn 2. During the lap 175 caution, Kenny Irwin Jr. is extricated from his car and replaced by Kenny Wallace due to heat exhaustion.
Kenny Wallace is out of the race. He is standing by to relieve Kenny Irwin.
Wow, he came over to talk to Ricky Rudd about getting in that car. And
the name of the game for this race was heat. While the temperature on weather history only reads about 75 for a high, apparently the humidity was what got to the drivers this day, as a lot of people were talking about the seats getting too hot and actually causing physical injury to the drivers. Rich Bickle is shown on lap 208 in 8th place. Y'all remember when ESPN2 used to stylize their logo like this? It was pretty cool, wasn't it? The 23 of Jimmy Spencer spins again on lap 224, to which his radio says the F-bomb on national TV before Kyle Petty made it cool.
That's Jimmy Spencer, who spins for the 2nd time.
Sterling Marlin wins the race off pit road on a 2-tire call. Ted Musgrave is replaced by Steve Grissom during the previous caution as well for heat exhaustion due to the seat getting too hot. Wally Dallenbach also takes 2 tires and restarts 2nd on lap 230. Rich Bickle restarts somewhere around 10th. The 5th caution is displayed on lap 260 from a tire off of Jeff Bonine's number 7 machine. Jerry Nadeau also retires from this race from massive heat exhaustion. Sterling Marlin wins another race off pit road with Ken Schrader in 2nd for the lap 281 restart. And it was far from a clean restart, with Kenny Schrader's Skull number 33 machine going wide, allowing Gordon to take him 3 wide, the 33 making contact with the wall. A battle for the lead commences before the 6th caution of the day comes out on lap 298 for the 22 of Ward Burton spinning his car off of turn number 4. Under caution, the 88 of Dale Jarrett, who entered this race running 3rd in points, loses a camshaft and retires from the race. Sterling Marlin leads them back to the restart on lap 306. Just before a small melee happens off turn 4 where Joe Nemechek does a 360, and while checking up, the 96 of Mike Bliss gets into the back of the 35 of Darrell Waltrip. The 10 of Ricky Rudd gets around the 40 and reassumes the lead. Rudd leads the field to the lap 320 restart, and the caution is quickly drawn again for Chad Little's spin. The race restarts again on lap 330, missed by the broadcast.
Caution flag. We threw the green flag. And they made half lap.
Yep, less than a lap, and we went back to caution, and this is what...
Only to be immediately put back under caution when Mike Skinner gets run over by Jimmy Spencer off of turn 2. Oh, and Chad Little was also involved, I guess. During this caution, Wally Dallenbach goes behind the wall for radiator issues, ending his elite run. Throughout all of this, Rich Bickle continues to run in the top 10. ESPN misses another restart on lap 343, finally returning nearly 2 laps after the flag. Rich Bickle finally gets another shout out on lap 346 by Benny Parsons.
Rich Bickle once again still back in 6th spot.
With 148 to go, the 98 of Rich Bickle is shown on a very primitive version of fastest speeds at the line as having the fastest speed on the track. Sterling Marlin battles with the 10 of Rudd and reclaims the lead on lap 364. On lap 172, Rich Bickle is seen on camera taking position away from Mark Martin. Marlin continues to lead. After commercial break, Jeff Burton is seen battling Sterling Marlin for the lead. Jeff Burton takes his X-side number 99 to the point on lap 387.
And Jeff Burton takes that X-side batter's board to the front.
Then a couple of laps later, everyone suffering from heat exhaustion, the 99 runs wide, giving the lead back to Sterling Marlin. Burton fights back and takes the lead again on lap 391. All of this allowed Ricky Rudd to reel in the leaders. And only a few laps later, Sterling Marlin slows dramatically, beginning to suffer from some engine woes. Jeff Gordon, Rich Bickle, and Bobby Hamilton are all able to get by. Marlin nearly takes out Martin, presumably for his name being too damn close to the spelling of his own. Rich Bickle then passes Jeff Gordon for third.
Here is Rich Bickle battling with Jeff Gordon for third spot.
Steve Park rolls his DEI number 1 down the pit road with an issue as Bobby Hamilton makes the move on Bickle for third. On lap 404, Jeff Burton has a Jamie McMurray level save off of 4, but in the process surrenders the lead to Ricky Rudd. A few laps later, it's mentioned on the broadcast that Jeff Burton is physically exhausted, which caused the error in 4.
Benny, I think Jeff Burton is just exhausted. The crew continues to talk to him, encouraging him, telling him, run your line, be smooth, you'll be all right.
During commercial, Rich Bickle is shown having run down and passed Jeff Burton for third place, just before the dominant number 40 car of Sterling Marlin is shown having stalled on the backstretch. Ricky Rudd leads them to the lap 426 restart with Rich Bickle running third. On lap 431, Rich Bickle gets another shout out from the booth just before getting passed by Mark Martin.
Able to get by Jeff Burton. There we see Rich Bickle. What a terrific run for Cale's Yarborough's team today. The Thornapple Valley Ford Taurus. A terrific run for Bickle.
Rich Bickle's best finish this year was in August at Bristol. He finished 18th, so it's definitely his best run in 1998. All kinds of modes of transportation in and around the Martinsville area.
What the fuck did we just establish with this? After commercials, a large wreck breaks out involving Kenny Wallace subbing for Kenny Irwin, Steve Park, Bobby Hamilton, Dick Trickle, and Mike Bliss, bringing out the final caution of the day. Ricky Rudd leads them to the lap 449 restart, Jeff Gordon in second, Mark Martin third, and Rich Bickle fourth. Ernie Irvin spins his car off of 4 a few laps after the restart to no caution flag, followed immediately by Bobby Labonte cutting a tire down. Weird note about this race, the broadcast would just randomly cut in to talk about Mark McGwire in the baseball game.
This is in Houston as Sosa steps in the pitch. He hits it.
The center fielder back to the warning track, but he was able to gather it in, and so Sosa fails on another attempt in the home run chase.
Despite the threat of heat exhaustion, Ricky Rudd manages to hold off Jeff Gordon and extend his winning streak to 16 consecutive years, and Rich Bickle finishes fourth. Ricky Rudd is pulled out of his car in victory lane by EMTs and collapses from heat exhaustion. Rich Bickle is then given this famous post-race interview.
Obviously an emotional day, as well as the heat. He's all right. He's all right. Hang in there, buddy. Great job, man. Everybody, to help me get here. I can't help it. That's okay. We're not stopping you. Enjoy them. So much emotion. This is winning for me. Thanks.
And honestly, I cannot even remotely blame him. I'd probably cry too if I finished top 5 in a NASCAR race after spending most of my career clawing my way into the top 20 on occasion. Ricky Rudd is uniquely interviewed from a laying down position covered in ice packs in victory lane. This would be the final year of Ricky's winning streak, though he would get 3 more wins in his career. And as for Rich Bickle, this would be his best career finish, his lone career top 5 finish, and one of only 3 top 10s. It's easy to root for the underdogs. They're the most relatable, and to many, the most human. You see a lot of cookie-cutter rich kids who come into the sport nowadays who don't understand self-preservation, because if they wreck their $250,000 race car, daddy can just sell a couple of stock investments for another. But in the 90s and early 2000s, most drivers in the field were believably working-class heroes, people you could see yourself being. That's the case here with Rich Bickle, and why I wanted to bring it up. Rich Bickle's career statistically may not show much, but this man just ran 3.5 hours in a hot race car that regularly got upwards of 130 degrees inside just to see through an incredible run where he literally had nothing else to lose. The car was already going to have to qualify on pace next season. Rich was moving to another ride at season's end anyway, but he kept going, and that's the mark of a true racer. Rich Bickle is a prime example of why I pull for underdogs and backmarkers. Sure, you have your Jeff Gordons and your Mark Martins who can look superhuman with their ability, but I pull for the driver who doesn't look super, the driver who looks the most human. And Rich Bickle's run in this race truly felt like a David versus Goliath moment. Rich ran for Tim Beverly in the 45 car the following season, but was booted from that ride following poor performance and failing to qualify for 5 races. He finished 1999 returning to drive the 9 for Mark Melling, where he, again, had poor results. Also note, he drove the 91 for Joe Falk one race at Rockingham after getting booted from the 9, where he failed to qualify there as well. Then moved from team to team, getting tapped once to replace Terry Labonte, who is recovering from a leg injury at Pocono and soldiering the Hendrick 5 machine to an 11th place finish. Unfortunately, Rich had age and a few other factors working against him, and was unable to get another shot with a high quality ride, but he will forever be remembered for this hot September race in 1998. Hey there! If you enjoyed this racing story and weren't too off-put by the furry avatar present throughout it, well then you're pre-qualified to like this video, drop a comment, and a subscription. It's always a treat for me to talk about my favorite sport, and y'all seem to like these little stories, so I definitely want to keep making more. And hey, if only 10% of my viewers dropped a $1 sub on my Patreon or joined as a $1 member, not only do y'all get your name in the credits and early access to all my videos, but I'd be able to do these more often. If you can't do the monthly, leave a tip. Coffee and PayPal links are in the description. And if you can't financially contribute, no problem. Just drop a like, a sub, a comment, and I'll see y'all next time. Catch me at Be Whiskered, March 7th through 9th in Durham, North Carolina. I'm hosting a Bad Movie Night panel Saturday night at 12:30 a.m. and hosting a couple of meetups and main events for a music video shoot. More info soon to follow, and until next time, take it wheezy.